Welcome back, people. Weaver here. I'm going to talk to you about America's national play, Our Town. And what a town we have here. The play was written by one of the coolest playwrights of the 1930s. And he's... go. Welcome back, people. Weaver here to talk to you about America's national play, Our Town. And what a town we have here. The play was written by one of the coolest playwrights of the 1930s, Thornton Wilder. He had a thing about sets and props and stage production, and he really thought that you didn't need them, because people have an imagination, and what the mind can create is far better than what anybody could build with their hands to represent what he wanted. So going with the mind with people was a better idea than to just build it and not have it be perfect. And that's fairly normal nowadays, but back then that was unheard of because a set was elaborate and spelled out so that you could just drag the audience along in the show so that they didn't have to have any sort of thought process, because most of what they did back then was terrible melodramas. Back on topic, that kind of thing hadn't been used since the death of the Bard, because back then that was an entirely different style of acting, so no sets were required. I've been in this play twice. Once as an actor, that was okay, I had a shit role, but the other time, I did sound and tech, and that was amazing. So I love this show. And it also won a Pulitzer Prize, which is odd because this is the first one I've talked about that I liked. Yeah, I dig this show. Here's a hint. It's actually my favorite play ever written. So, what's this show about? It's about an American family. Two American families, to be precise. The Webbs and the Gibbs. Now, it goes from 1901 to 1913, and it takes place in the fictional town of Grover's Corner in New England. Where exactly, I don't honestly remember, but we're not going to talk about that. Customary to a lot of Wilder's plays, he had an omniscient narrator who kind of helped drag the audience along. But the show is set in 3 stages. The first act is daily life, where both of the families interact, and it has all of the townspeople interacting with each other, and it's just the daily life of your average person in 1901. And that's a cool setting of the stage. The second act, though, is a discussion of love and marriage, because it's the marriage of the 2 oldest children, Emily Webb and George Gibbs. And they get married in front of the whole town, and it's a lot of the family discussing what love means and how everything will be okay, and it's cool to not be certain about marriage. And the third act is some of my favorite theater ever, and it's a discussion on death. Emily dies in childbirth, and they hold the funeral, but all of the dead people in the town are not quite ghosts. They're spirits, but they don't care about what's going on. And Emily is horribly distraught about this, because life was great, and why wouldn't you want to relive it? And she gets that opportunity. she goes back to her 12th birthday and realizes that she took her entire life for granted, and realizes that she no longer wants anything to do with it. And there's a either very happy or very sad end to the play, depending on how the actress decides to portray it. I've seen it both ways. I love both of them. But it ends very simply with the stage manager wishing everybody a good night, and he hopes that they all had a good time at the show, and then it ends. And it's entirely about life being awesome, and how you shouldn't take it for granted. And I love this show. And there are several movie adaptations that are very good, though they take a couple of liberties here and there, but I can accept that. And on that note, good night, folks. I hope you have a great life.